Here we go. And we're live here on Facebook. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land. And Rich, I'd like to welcome you. How you doing today, bud?
I'm doing good, and since you left them out, I guess I'll welcome to the folks that are watching us over on the YouTube.
I don't leave them out. I let you welcome them. Because when I was welcoming everybody there for a while, you kept saying,
Okay.
well, I guess I just say hi to you. So I'm giving you that.
All right. Fair enough, Mike. Fair enough. So how was your week, Mike?
It's been good. A little busy, but the holiday week last week meant this week was a little busy and a little crazy, but getting back into the swing of things, and should be good. Next week will be nice, and then we get back into the swing of holiday stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
I think Danielle is putting up the Christmas tree right now, so there's that.
I mean, there's a Christmas tree that wasn't put up at your house?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah, we have two that don't get put up until, well, my goal was, my thought was when we had family Thanksgiving here, we were going to put them up. Mm-hmm. Danielle loves Christmas trees, but doesn't always love putting up Christmas trees.
So is that why once the Christmas tree goes up, she would just prefer just to leave it up year round so she doesn't have to set it up?
Yeah, that's probably true.
Okay. And that's fair. We have a tree that we kind of use as a Christmas tree, but we keep it up as like a decorative kind of like a decorative part of our living room, but it's not like a traditional Christmas tree. So that ours is technically up year round as well.
By the way, we do have
not decorated up.
I did have the trees up. They're just being decorated.
Okay. Yeah. So do you have all your yard work done?
The leaves are clean. The leaves were cleaned before we came down for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I need to get up, and today I'm getting the plow on the. Well, first I'm probably going to do hang some Christmas lights.
Okay.
Get those finished. Then I'm going to move to the get the plow on the lawnmower and get the snow
mower deck
ready
off.
To go. Yeah.
And take the mower deck off?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm finishing up my yard work today. I just kept inside the fence line. Just need to take my leaf blower / vacuum and get all those leaves mulched up and put into the yard waste bin, and then those pretty much all be done, I think, for the year outside. So it'll be nice to get that wrapped up.
And whatnot.
Huh?
Except for the shoveling and whatnot.
Yeah, except for the shovel. I don't count that as yard work because I'm clearing off like a driveway.
That's true.
All right, Mike. So before we get into our poll question, what sort of things are we going to be talking about this week?
So, well, you mentioned the poll question, so I won't mention that. We have some MLB talk. There's actually a lot of stuff, some free agent signings, some other information about the lockout and stuff like that. Kind of some stuff going on there. And then we have some quick hits. Rich, what else are we talking about? You mentioned the poll question. What else do you have? What other topics you got?
The NFL. We got to kind of recap how our picks did in Week 12 and give you our predictions for Week 13. And we get to take a quick lap around the practice track in the NASCAR corner.
Ooh, that's fun.
As there's a little bit of news. A little tidbit came out about a racing team.
Yeah.
The sale. So all that and more after Mike. What are we going to do?
We're going to roll the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich. So, as you mentioned at the top of the show, we start every week with a poll question. This week it is chili versus brisket. By the way, your wife made fun of us for the way we spelled chili because we spelled it because it's cool, like it's cool outside, not like the food. I want to point out that I only copied your email. I did not.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't just her. We had a comment on the poll that got shared over to my page. It was my father-in-law, Ron Lehman's, saying, "Are we talking about the temperature or the food?"
Yeah, I know.
So that's what prompted my wife's comment. So I'll take full responsibility for that. You were just copying and pasting, and because chili is technically not a spelling error, it did not try and correct you.
Yep.
So that's on me.
Yep.
So where did the people vote, and then we'll kind of give where we voted, Mike.
9-2.
9-2. Okay.
It's actually 9-1 to 1.
Oh, okay.
But 9-2.
Okay.
In favor of brisket. Our 2 votes for chili are Solomon for the temperature chili and your wife for the food chili.
Okay. Yeah, I went with brisket.
Yeah, to me that just sounds like an actual tailgating type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like chili. I love me some chili.
Yeah.
I will eat the crap out of some chili.
Oh yeah, love chili.
But I actually like brisket way more. Brisket.
Yeah.
You know what the best is? When you make chili from your leftover brisket.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Mike.
I do that once in a while. I make a brisket a couple times a year, and no matter how big the party is, we always seem to have some leftovers.
Is that purposeful leftovers where you're keeping back some of the meat?
I put it all out there. It's purposeful in that I don't invite everybody. I don't invite tons of people to the party, so there's always leftovers.
Okay.
And one of the best things,
or you're not overly advertising. Hey, there's still some more food out there if you want it. If you're still hungry.
So
nothing wrong with that. You gotta save food for leftovers when for that type of cut of meat with all the work that you put into it as well.
Brisket is not a cheap cut of meat to buy anymore. People have figured out that even though it used to, it's like if you don't cook it right, it is a very low on the desirability scale for foods that you would want to eat. It's a tough cut of meat. There's not a lot of good flavor in it unless you cook it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or you pickle it by putting it in a brine and making corned beef, which is just a pickled beef that you then cook, which is delicious. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I love me some corned beef. But
all right.
Okay.
So brisket moves on.
Yep.
We'll determine its opponent at a later date. We got to get through the initial round. So this one, our next matchup is going to be burgers versus the party sub sandwich.
Yep.
So that's already scheduled. It's published and it's going to go live at high noon.
Did you figure out how to get pictures on there?
I'm going to try and do the pictures. It didn't let me add the pictures when I published the poll through my phone. So more than likely we'll end the show after 12 o'clock. So having Facebook up on the Mac here, I'm going to see if it'll let me add pictures.
Okay. That'll be good. So, do you want to go into the NFL right away, or do you want to touch some of these other things that we have to talk about? We have a couple of things on here that that we haven't put on here.
But I think we can do a quick NFL, so we can save the bulk of the show for kind of like the quick hits that we have. Before, I guess, since we're going into the NFL, Mike, last week's show kind of cut off on us abruptly.
Yep.
To where it kind of cut us off when we were in the middle of a discussion on coaches on the hot seat. I think it cut us off somewhere in between talking about how Pete Carroll and the Seahawks could be looking for a new coach, whether that's because Pete Carroll steps down due to age and not wanting to be a part of a rebuild,
Yeah.
or maybe to keep Russell Wilson in the fold, they tell him that, all right, we'll get you a new coach.
Yeah.
What if we hire a new coach? Will that keep you? Will that keep you satisfied and want to stay in Seattle?
Yeah, I don't think that's even gonna save Russ staying there. But yes, I agree. I think that Pete is. I don't know if it's necessarily a hot seat, like we said last week, but a seat that will be vacant either way. I don't know that we see Pete Carroll coming back. I did like when people said maybe go back to USC, except the problem with the concept of that is he screwed USC over so bad.
Yeah,
when he
did.
moved up to Seattle. So I don't think they would have taken him even if he wanted the job back. So.
And it's no longer open, but more on that later.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. So why don't you who won the pick'em this week? I know I didn't, but who did?
Let me get that because I.
So while you're opening that up, Mike, let me give the rundown of what happened in Week 12 amongst our picks.
Yep.
Locks of the week. I predicted that the Chargers would beat the Broncos. It wasn't a confident pick, and I wasn't off. As the Chargers lost 28-13. Mike, your lock of the week came through just barely. Some Tom Brady magic at the end of the game, and some good defense got the Buccaneers a win over the Colts 38-31, improving your mark to 10-2 for locks. My locks are now 9-3.
That means
over on the upset.
Your upset special of the Colts over the Buccaneers did not come through, as we already discussed. The Buccaneers, my lock of the week, beat your upset of the week of the Colts. And
great game, though. Great game.
In mine, man, what didn't even look like a real competition, the Miami Dolphins took it to the Carolina Panthers. Rich, your upset specials, you're in the losing category as you are at 4-6, and I am at a push category at 6-6. Over on the Thursday night football, we had the Cowboys and the Saints both returning from to Thursday after Thanksgiving. The Cowboys win in that game as well. We both picked the Cowboys. The Cowboys did win. And that moves us to, I don't remember where we're at on that.
I've got you. We're at 12 and we're both at 12-3, and it was a 27-17 Cowboys win.
I don't think
I didn't watch the game. I was trying to see what Taysom Hill did for fantasy purposes to see, all right, is he worth an ad? And the stat line just did not make sense to me. 264 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 100 rushing yards, but he had 4 interceptions. But somehow, at least by the way the picks work, the way our commissioner Nick Baker has configure stat scoring, he still scored 17 points.
Weird. By the way, Rich, I don't think I misspoke, but our upset specials, our records on those are not updated.
No. Okay. I've got the prediction.
And neither are our I guess our other ones are. The locks are, but the upsets are not. So I don't know where we're sitting at that. I think I'm above 500 and you're right at 500.
No, I would now be 4-9.
Oh.
And your upsets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, you're still at 500, 6-6. Yours is correct. Mine was not updated.
I'm missing a game then
on the show outline.
I'm missing a couple. You didn't put the Thursday. Oh no, that would be upsets. Okay, yeah, that's right. Never mind. You're right. Okay. So, any big recaps from this week, including Thursday night, other than the Taysom Hill not making sense on how
On scoring.
on scoring.
On stat scoring. 4 interceptions. I think you should get penalized a little bit more for throwing 4 interceptions, especially one of them being a pick 6.
Yeah, I think a pick
But
6 should be minus 6 points against your quarterback.
I don't know if it would be negative where you take away one of the touchdowns, but at least half of the value of a touchdown. But
I think
I'm not the commissioner, but at the same time, I'm not the commissioner, and
yeah.
Nor well, there's a part of me that wants to be to adjust some of the things in the league. Overall, Nick does a nice job.
He does a great job.
Too much.
And I think that, I mean, it's a great league. We have a lot of fun. We should probably discuss stuff more in the league, but you know.
All right. So how did the pick'em do? How did the three of us, you, me, and JR do?
Well, this week, Rich, you took third place.
Yeah, I know. I need to pick it back up. I haven't not been doing very well.
You only made 5 picks correct.
Mm-hmm.
JR made 8 picks correct, and I made 9 picks correct.
Yeah, you're really running away with it this year, Mike.
I am chugging along here pretty well. I got our overall scores are 112 to 103 to 94. JR is catching you quickly, Rich.
Yeah.
So you got some work to do if you want to stay even in second place at this point.
I know, and hopefully things turn around this week, and I can get back into having being at least closer to that 8-9 picks right this week. So that leads into our picks for Week 13 between the two of us, locks, upsets, and Thursday Night Football.
And Bears football.
And the Bears, yes. So we'll start with the Bears, Mike. The Cardinals are coming into Soldier Field. Kyler Murray I think is active, but they may be monitoring his workload. Andy Dalton is going to be the starting quarterback.
I don't think any of that matters. I think the team, the coaching, the quality of coach between the head coach versus head coaches is so overwhelming for the Cardinals. Matt Nagy needs a new job. I hear that McDonald's is hiring, paying $15 an hour. There you go.
Oh, so you're not even going to give him a corporate job at McDonald's.
No,
he's going to have to go to an individual franchise.
$15 an hour is what looks good to me.
Okay, yeah, I don't see the Bears pulling this one off either. I mean, I think even if it were snowing or bitterly cold out on the lakefront, the Cardinals still find a way to win that game.
Yeah, the Cardinals are going to win that game. I don't think there's much that matters on that. When we get to the power rankings, a little tear might fall down my eye as I tell you where the Bears are. It's not good, folks. So, Rich, my lock of the week, I am taking what I think is one of the lockiest locks almost of the year. Of the year. I'm going to pick the Rams over the Jaguars. There you go. Enough said.
That's a great pick, Mike. If you had passed on it, I was going to take it.
Yep.
So it was going to get picked by one of us. Yep. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers over the Falcons.
Rich, if you would have had first pick and you would have picked the Rams over the Jags, guess what my second pick would have been?
The Buccaneers?
Over the Falcons. Those were the two games that I was deciding between, and I just picked the one I picked. So, upset of the week. Rich, this week, we go off of the Yahoo pick distribution. That is how we determine what an upset is. As much as I don't feel this is an actual upset, I'm going to take my points and I'm going to go on to next week. Because I'm picking the Ravens over the Steelers. Easily should have been considered the Ravens should be the favored team in this. But Rich, who you got?
I'm going to take the 49ers over the Seahawks.
Okay, I like that pick as well. Again, one of those that I think the 49ers are the better team. So, yeah. Thursday Night Football, we have the Steelers versus the Vikings. Sorry. all those Northerners that listen to us up here. Rich, who you got?
I'm gonna have to go with the Vikings.
You know what? I 100% agree. Just so long as it doesn't come to a last-minute field goal.
Okay. And that's fair with their history of field goal kickers this year and in years past.
So, yeah. Okay, Rich, we haven't done it in a while. I have fixed all of the things. It looks good on what I'm seeing. Everything looks great. We are ready to go with our power rankings. Are you ready for this, Rich?
Yes. So we can actually give what the power rankings and the ELO.
Yes.
And how they compare to our eye test.
Yes. I have all of them.
Good. Awesome. Great job, Mikey. Even if you... Great job.
Okay.
All right, Mike. Number 1 by the power rankings and the ELO.
I'm still sorting the sheet, so I'm on. Okay.
Okay.
On the power rankings... The power rankings have the Green Bay Packers, as well as the ELO having the Green Bay Packers ranked at number 1 overall.
I'm agreeing with them. I think the Packers, they're playing like the better team. You're disagreeing. Nope. So who did you put at number 1?
My number 1 is the Arizona Cardinals. Still got to prove to me that they are not the best team in the league. I think they are. Green Bay is going to have a bye week this week, and Arizona is going to move themselves to be the first 10-win team this year. Put it on the books.
Okay. And I can give you that. And more than likely, when Arizona wins their game this week, who are they playing this week?
I am bringing it up. Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah, they're playing the Bears.
We just talked about it. They're winning against the Bears.
Yeah. I'll probably switch them back up to number 1 after this week. Swap those two.
I mean, you got to feel.
I don't have the Cardinals down very far though, Mike, as I do have them at number 2,
which is where the power rankings has them, and the ELO has number 2 as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, who'd you put at number 2?
I put the Green Bay Packers.
Okay. The Buccaneers is who I penciled in at number 3.
See, I did not. I put another team. I put a team that has some history with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
And by history, I mean their quarterback. Because I picked the New England Patriots. They are a team on fire right now.
They sure are.
I hate them. I hate them about as much as I hate some of the other teams that you always accuse me of hating. I genuinely hate the New England Patriots. But man, at 8-4 right now, I don't know that I think I don't know that they aren't the team to beat in the AFC right now.
Okay.
They're going against one of the other teams to look out for in the AFC this week. We'll talk about that when we get to it, but they are going up against the Buffalo Bills. Man, gonna be interesting. Number 3. We just did, didn't we?
We did. So we're down to number 4, and I put the Baltimore
I did not
Ravens.
give you what the ELO had for number 3.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Number 3, the ELO has the Kansas City Chiefs. So,
okay.
But number 4 you put?
The Baltimore Ravens. The AFC's number 1 overall seed if the playoffs started today.
As did I. That's who I put. But the ELO has the New England Patriots.
Okay.
The power rankings, however, have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 4.
Okay.
That strength of schedule that they have is giving them some pretty good numbers there.
All right, Mike, we're up to number 5. Who'd you put?
My number 5, that's where I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay. So we're all in the same neighborhood, I think, because this is where I put the Patriots.
Okay. I'm not, none of these are, I think these top 5 I think that's where the order really we could argue on the order, because I mean I agree, we agree with who's in the top 5, but I don't know my number 5, like I said, Tampa Bay. They've been on some rough times recently, so
Okay.
I'm going based off how they're doing recently. What have you done for me lately? The ELO goes off of your history. That's why they tend to have people higher than that. The power rankings takes the ELO, takes you and my eye test, and takes the strength of the games that people have played, and put that all into consideration against about how you're doing. So that's kind of where things get. That's why I like using the power rankings that I use, the math that I use there. And so I disagree with the power rankings on it, but the power rankings have the Baltimore Ravens at number 5. So,
Okay.
Rich, number 6, they have the Buffalo Bills. By the way, that's
Okay.
where I put them, and that's also where the ELO puts them.
I don't have the Bills that high.
Okay.
Maybe I have them too low, but I put the Kansas City Chiefs at number 6.
Wow. That's again, that's gonna be our biggest gap, I believe.
Okay.
We'll see when you get there, but that is where I believe our biggest gap is gonna be. Number 7. Who do you got, Rich?
This is where you put the Titans at.
I 100% agree. That is where the Titans belong. However, the power rankings would argue number 7 belongs to the New England Patriots, and the ELO would say it belongs to the Baltimore Ravens. So,
Okay.
Number 8, the ELO has the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay.
Who
did you put?
The power rankings have the Tennessee Titans at number 8. And
Okay.
I, Rich, have the Dallas Cowboys at number 8.
All right. I put the Rams at number 8.
Ooh, you did, yeah. Again, I don't think that's that far off. Not where I put them, but we'll get there. We'll get there in a minute. Number 9, I put the Cincinnati Bengals.
I went with the Buffalo Bills at number 9.
Okay. And the Dallas Cowboys is where the power rankings have number 9. And the ELO has the San Francisco 49ers, which I think that's very high. Rich,
Yeah.
number 10, the ELO, to round out the top 10 for the ELO, the Los Angeles Rams.
Okay. Who'd you put at 10?
I put the Kansas City Chiefs 4 whole points away from where you have them. 4 whole points. Who do you have at number 10, Rich?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. And
teams that I have outside of my top 10 that the ELO, the power rankings, and you, I think, have in the top 10. I have the Bengals at number 11.
By the way, number
Colts at
11,
12.
number 11 is where I have the Rams, actually.
Okay. Not that far off. And you said one of the rankings, the calculated rankings, put the Niners into the top 10?
No.
No.
The ELO has it in the top 10. 11, they have the Colts, the calculated. I'll just read you the calculated. We won't worry about the ELO at this point. The calculated has 11 for the Colts, 12 for the Bengals, 13 for the Niners, 14 for the Saints, 15 for the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a little high. I think the Saints are really high.
Yeah. That surprised me too, because I have the Bolts all the way down at 16, and I put the Saints at 19.
I have the Bolts at 16. I have the Saints at 22.
22. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Rich, let's not do that yet. Oh man, I don't really want to go to our bottom 5 because of where I have it starting, and
Do you want to go from the bottom and go up to?
yeah, let's go to
28?
the bottom. At the bottom, the ELO, the Rich Eye Test, the Mikey Eye Test, and the Power Rankings all agree. I'm pretty sure you agree with this, Rich.
Yeah.
32 is the worst team in the league. The only team to not have a win so far, the Detroit Toilets. The D-Toilet Lions.
Yeah.
The
Totally agree.
Lions.
I think I wouldn't surprise me if we agree on number 31 as well.
You, me, and yeah, we all agree. It looks like we all agree at 31. Then the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
30.
Do we go 3 for 3? Are the Jets number 30 across all 4?
No.
No. Okay.
Houston Texans. For me,
Okay.
the Power Rankings and the ELO. 29. Who do you got, Rich?
That's where I put the Texans.
Okay, I don't mind that. That's actually where I put the Seattle Seahawks.
I don't have the Seahawks down that low.
And,
they're getting there.
And everybody
they're
else
getting there.
Everybody else has them significantly higher than I do. But let me give you some information. First, what's their trajectory been so far? Everybody was like, "Oh, Russ is coming back. He's gonna cook. They're gonna win, right?" What'd they do?
Nothing.
They look like crap. Their schedule doesn't get much easier. I don't think they're gonna. They don't look good there. I have them at 29. I will stand by that. They have to prove to themselves.
I can't argue with you. I'm not that far off on Seattle. I don't think.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a gap, but they're not into my bottom 5. But I think I'm giving them. I put them as high as I did, probably based on potential.
Okay.
And maybe those early season victories not weighing as heavily as what they're doing right now.
Okay. By the way, the Power Rankings 29 is the Jets.
Okay.
And the ELO has the Jets as well. At 28.
The Chicago Bears.
Yeah. I actually put the Jets here at 28.
Okay.
I forgot. I did. But the Power Rankings agree with you at 28. The ELO does not have the Bears in the bottom 5.
Okay.
The ELO has the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
So my place for the Bears, 24.
24?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How'd you come up with that?
Well,
or I guess why did you choose? I guess for me, I can understand. I guess this is maybe where I'm being a little bit unfair.
Yeah,
because I'm grading the Bears off of what they're doing now, but other teams like Seattle or maybe even Atlanta or New York, it's what you're doing, what you did overall, what you've done overall.
Yeah, and I don't blame you for that. But the Bears, for me, I did put them ahead of some teams that have more wins than them, i.e. the Washington Redskins and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
I just think those teams overall are more garbage than the Bears. I think the Bears are pretty garbagey. But those two teams, a little more garbagey. So that keeps them out of the... that's 2 points. The Giants, you think the Bears are worse than the Giants?
I think they are. And I think the reason why I might rate the Bears, or I guess maybe grade them a little bit more harshly, is because that's the game I get to watch every week. If I choose to tune in.
Yep. And
I don't get to watch the Seahawks or the Falcons.
Yeah. No,
or the
I get it.
Eagles.
So
it's easier for me to see, man, they really are playing bad.
I get it. I mean, I couldn't imagine being somebody in a local market for the Detroit Lions right now. Or
Jacksonville. Or the Jets or the Giants, having to watch. That's the game that you get, regardless of how well they're playing or how bad they're playing. You get their game.
Here's the thing, Rich. You have the Seattle Seahawks at 26.
Yeah.
How many wins do they have?
How many wins? They got 3.
Okay. How many wins?
I'm just guessing here.
Yes, they have 3. How many wins do the Bears have?
Do they have 4?
They have 4.
Okay. Once again, I think that comes back to early season victories for Seattle and that potential that they should be playing better.
Early season! Early season! You tell me, Rich, if you win your first 4 games in a row, let's say the Bears win their first 4 games, and they haven't won a game since, doesn't that make them look worse today than they did 8 weeks ago?
Yeah, I can see that as a valid argument.
The Seahawks had early wins. They haven't done crap in this part of the season. So I would say that the Bears are better than the Seahawks. The Bears are better than the Jets and the Giants. They're better than the Eagles. I can take the argument. I will take the argument on the Redskins because the Redskins actually are better than what their record shows, I think. And their record is better than the Bears. But so I will grant that I might be a little high on my bias for the Bears by one spot. That's where I will concede. But the rest of it, no, I think I'm pretty dead on.
Okay.
So.
And maybe that argument with another win, with another loss by Seattle, and regardless of what the Bears do, could flip and move the Seahawks down, and maybe the Bears out of the bottom 5.
So, Rich, I do have another question for you. I'm going to bring up a team that the only other team we haven't spoken of in our division. Where do you have the Vikings at the moment?
That is a good question. So I accidentally hit the X button on it, so I need to bring up my rankings. I believe that I put them at number 14.
That's not what I see.
Oh, I was guessing.
I have them at
18.
20. Yeah,
I put them at 18.
You did put them at 18. Power Rankings has them at 19, and the ELO agrees with you, Rich. So, that 18, 19, again, we've had this discussion in weeks previously. I would say from 7 to about 24, all of those teams are kind of the same.
I don't know if I would go as high as 7, but
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I would maybe start that at like 11. They're basically, maybe even 10 with the Cowboys. They're basically the same, to where you're kind of splitting hairs, trying to decipher. All right, they all have about the same record. They have some good losses, but they have some bad losses.
Yeah,
and they have some good signature wins, but they're all against the same caliber of team.
Yep. That is
so. It is hard. It is really hard to probably rank, starting going from like 10, probably down to like 18.
Yeah, I can go with that. I can go.
10 to 18. It starts to get a little bit easier.
I would even say down to 20. Even makes it getting all the way down to the Vikings. I would even say.
Okay. Yeah, I can stop there. I can go there. 10 to 20. Yeah, you could put them in any order, and I don't think you would be too wrong.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
You could probably go a little bit. You could probably make the case that probably teams like the Broncos, the Browns, and the Saints may not deserve to be in the sniffing up around the top 10, but they don't. But they also don't necessarily. You could easily make an argument that they don't need to be at the bottom of 10 to 20 either. So,
no, I totally get that. I'm totally with you on that as well. So, with that being said, anything else in the power rankings that I just closed out? So, if you have anything else, you're going to have to give us the rundown on it.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
So you made some great arguments for some teams that I have ranked higher than you do, and so there could be see some changes in my rankings next week.
Okay.
So MLB news. Let's
start with the free agency.
Okay.
Then we'll go to the Cleveland thing. Then we'll go to this story that I haven't even gotten to look at. And then we'll go to the big top story. Does that sound good?
Okay. That's fine. So MLB free agents. So the Cubs have made some moves. They picked up Wade Miley, left-handed pitcher who's used to pitch in Baltimore, and he pitched for the Reds recently. So he'll be a good innings eater, probably number 3 guy.
Yep.
Maybe 4. And they signed Marcus Stroman.
Yeah.
Another good innings eater. Not a number 1 guy, but a good guy to have in your rotation.
Yep.
And I think that's it for them right now. They didn't. Oh, they picked up Clint Frazier. They signed him as the Yankees decided to non-tender him. Probably a good. It's probably I kind of see the Clint Frazier signing product being very comparable to the Jock Peterson signing last year.
Yeah,
a guy that has potential and could be a good platoon or maybe even an everyday left fielder, center fielder, and if he works out, great. If he doesn't, you only got him for 1 year. A good lottery ticket signing, if anything.
Yeah. So, also big notable names. Max Scherzer, didn't he sign with the Mets?
He did. It is on the link.
Yeah.
You got to kind of scroll through on the dates, but yes.
Yeah.
Kind of the bigger name signings, going from newest to oldest with the lockout happenings. Chris Taylor, utility man, re-signs with the Dodgers. They don't lose him. Javi Baez going to Detroit. El Mago will not be returning to the north side. How do you feel about it, Mike?
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I mean, good for him, but I'm still confused on what this ownership, what this management is going to be doing. I think that kind of puts a scary look for Wilson Contreras.
I can agree with that.
Are they going to go after him?
Are
they going to try to sign him again?
I don't know. I think at this point, because the other signing that I forgot to mention when talking about the Cubs is they signed veteran catcher Yan Gomes. Could Wilson Contreras be out the door for a prospect package, either once the lockout is over or during the trade deadline?
Other than Cousin Carl, is there anybody that we're going to keep from that 2016 team?
Yeah, you're totally right.
No, there's one guy. There's one guy other than Cousin Carl. Jason Hayward. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the guy I want. I'm so happy we're keeping. I mean, we're never getting out of that contract. We are stuck with that contract as a weight around our ankle until we sink to the bottom of the sea and drown at this point.
So speaking of Jason Hayward's contract, is how that contract has aged, is that maybe scaring off management or ownership signing off on a long-term deal on a guy that's like 28, 29 years old or 30 years old? Because they've seen what happened with Jason Hayward.
Yeah, you know what? There is some accuracy to that statement. The problem with that is Jason Hayward, his history, it was good, but he obviously didn't. I don't think his history deserved that big of a contract. Now, I would say guys like Contreras deserve that big of a contract. Why are
maybe not back in 2015 when the contract was signed did they deserve that type of financial commitment at that time.
Right.
But now, yes, he probably does deserve that type of financial commitment to keep him in Cubby pinstripes.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're willing to spend money on a veteran. By the way, when we talk baseball, veteran is code word for old. By the way, what was Jason Hayward when we signed him?
Was he in his 30s at that point? Low 30s?
He had to have been, I think. Either way, he was a veteran.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was in the prime, or he was right in the middle of his prime. So in theory, the contract should have worked out.
Yeah.
However, as I'm sure we've probably brought up, even when he signed the contract, you all thought that, hey, he's going to continue to have the same success that he had in St. Louis when we signed him to that contract. And because he'll continue to have that contract, he'll exercise that opt-out.
Yeah.
When he signed that contract, his numbers went down to where it didn't make sense for him to use the opt-out.
Nope. So, the free agency has me scared for what's going on in Chicago. Actually, Rich, we should change the big story to after the Cleveland story. So tell us about the agreement that Cleveland came to with the roller derby team.
Do you want to keep talking free agents, or do you want to circle back around?
Oh, okay. You have more free agents. Let's do it.
Yeah. So Javi, did you really want to see him come back to Chicago, or is it a kind of good for him, but it didn't seem like the Cubs made it, even tried to engage with him to see if he wanted to come back?
I think Javi did what Javi needed to do, and I'm happy for Javi. And again, I don't know that they didn't, but at least if the Cubs were going to make a run back for him, they should have made some noise about it. Mm-hmm. By the way, at this point, if they want to make runs at Rizzo, by the way, I've seen that as an option, or Bryant, if they're going to make runs at these guys, you have to make a lot of noise about it. You leak the contract that you're sending his way to say, hey, this is what we're going to cut. Because you have to let the Bears or the Cubs are not playing the publicity game. They're just playing the game. The Cubs aren't letting people know this is the offer we made. They did not do a good job when it came to letting people know what they were offering. The players said, "Look at this! They were disrespectful. They never showed us what the numbers were."
No, neither side did.
Neither side
really did before they got traded because the contract negotiations weren't going anywhere.
Right, which is fine, but if the Cubs are legitimately making decent offers to these guys, they need to make it known. Because us fans, we're sitting here like, well, you guys aren't signing anybody worthwhile. You're not doing anything to help us feel like we're getting anywhere. So, yeah, I can't support the team's making it hard to support them when they don't play that publicity game and let us know that they're actually doing something. They're attempting to do something, even if the other side doesn't want to play ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think you needed to come out and say, at least if the players are going to come out and say, well, that offer was insulting, I didn't even want to counter there. It didn't make sense for me to counter offer because this is how much they were going to offer me. And my agent and my representatives are thinking that I can get X amount of dollars on the free agent market. Yep. So that's a really lowball offer. All we heard was like the blanket statements of it was a lowball offer. I felt insulted by the offer.
Yeah.
And then Javi, but kind of circling back to Javi, I don't think Detroit was the right place for him to go. That is a big ballpark. And money-wise, was the right place for him to go. But home ballpark, that is a big ballpark.
Yeah.
And I think the way that he plays the games, I think a lot of those booming home runs that might have gone out of Wrigley Field are probably going to be, he's going to have a lot of warning track power, or he might have to adjust his game to be hitting more line drives and using the speed that he has right now to have doubles and maybe trying to get triples. And I don't know if his game is built for that. So I don't even know if Detroit's going to be happy with this contract in a couple of years.
I would disagree. A big ballpark means that if he gets it into a gap, he has that much extra room to use his speed. His number one weapon is his speed, right?
Or his
aggressiveness.
Aggressive running.
Aggressive speed and tactics, if you will. So if he uses those aggressive speed and tactics in order to make it work, the extra space for the ball to go makes for extra room for him to get those, to stretch those doubles into triples and all that extra stuff. I think it's great for him.
Okay. Other big signings, which you probably won't go too much into because they're not former Cubs. Corey Seager took the money and ran with it. He's going to be the shortstop for the Texas Rangers. Max Scherzer is going to go to the Big Apple.
Yeah, that Mets team that makes that Mets team even scarier. They were good to begin with, and they've just gotten better with him signing.
Yeah, so they basically swapped in Scherzer because to take the rotation spot of Noah Syndergaard or Marcus Stroman, who they lost.
Yep.
Cy Young winner Robbie Ray is going to go out to the Pacific Northwest as he's going to be the number one starter for the Mariners now.
Yeah.
Marcus Semien is going to join Seager in Texas. Kevin Grauman is going to take Robbie Ray's spot in Toronto as their ace, as he's going to go up there. Twins fans got some good news as Brandon Buxton signed a big contract extension. And it looks like the Rays are going to take a chance on Corey Kluber.
That actually seems like a good spot for him.
Yeah.
Him not having to go more than twice through a rotation, give him a little bit of rest. That'll help protect him from the injuries that he's been known for in the past.
And he'll get to grow his beard back.
And he can grow his beard back.
Yeah. And the Mets also signed Starling Marte, probably the best outfielder, I think. One of the better outfielders in the free agent market.
And former Cub.
And, yeah. No, Starling Marte never played for the Cubs. He played a lot of games at Wrigley Field being a Pirate, but he never played for the Cubs.
Yeah, that's right.
And the Rays made a big financial commitment to prospect Wander Franco.
Wow. Okay.
$185 million deal for a kid that has only played half a year. So that's really all the big free agent signings that we have to kind of report on.
Let us know, Rich, give us the rundown on what's going on with Cleveland and the roller derby team. We know that they reached an agreement, so the Cleveland Guardians are officially the Cleveland Guardians now.
Yes, they reached an agreement on an undisclosed amount that is going to allow both teams to have the name.
Okay.
They did not announce in the stories that I looked into that I've had the story that I've had on our outline for maybe even 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
That we just haven't gotten around to. They did not discuss the financial terms. It just said that they reached an agreement that will allow both teams to use the name. Which I think is fair.
No, I totally think it's fair. I just think that somebody screwed up in the Cleveland baseball team organization to not have done their homework enough to find that there is a Cleveland Guardians roller derby team, and not have had this cleared up well before they even announced that this is the name you're going to go with. That's a fail. Okay. Big news, the biggest news that come out this week for Major League Baseball. It's not any of the free agency signings. It's not even that Cleveland is officially the Guardians and they have a website and all that stuff. It's that the MLB owners have locked out and announced they are no longer going to engage in negotiations for signings with free agents, and is officially locked out. We have no baseball activity happening as the owners lock out the players. Man, lots of stuff on this.
Yeah.
Expected 100%. Is this what baseball needs? Not at all.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have locked the players out at this point.
Nope.
Keep going back and forth. Keep playing the publicity game of saying that, well, we're in active talks with the players union.
Yeah.
We're still going to negotiate with them and get this worked out. We're not going to lock out the players because we're negotiating in good faith with them.
Yeah.
But to just say, nope, lockout. We'll talk with you when you want to play our game.
Yeah.
Is a little bit ridiculous, and
it goes back to what happened last year with the COVID arguments, when they were negotiating what COVID was going to look like, and what the player, like, that negotiation got ugly and uncalled for, and they're playing the same game with this current lack of a contract. I'm not okay with it.
I don't like it either.
Rich, you just went through a strike with John Deere. Now, it's a little bit different because you guys were you as a non union member, not because you don't want to be, just because you're not in a position, in a job that requires a union membership. You still had to work every day. You had other people that were doing jobs that are done by union members, not scabs, by the way, but people who are staffers that had to go pick parts. It's the public game. What goes out over public is what wins this. The owners locking out the players is a bad look. Because now, so the concept that it's the owners locking out the players is that the owners are flexing their muscle to say, we have the power. But in the public, what does it do?
It makes them look bad.
Yeah. You have to understand these negotiations are a public negotiation. So if you're going to make this a public fight, as an owner, you started it out in a bad way. Yeah, if the players strike, I think it's technically worse. If you wait until spring training and the players say, we're not showing up, we're on strike because we don't have a contract, that's actually worse for baseball. I think it's better for baseball that they are taking the time to try to do it now as opposed to wait until whenever. But, man, this looks bad. In some of their negotiations, Rich, it appears like you have some of the negotiating points, some of the things that are expected to be in the new contract in changes for 2022. Would you like
at least what they're proposing?
Correct. Would you like to read some of those off?
Sure. I know one of them is an expanded playoffs.
Yep.
They want to have 14 teams. The team with the best record gets a bye.
Okay.
The division winners and the division winners get to pick their wild card opponent in the wild card game.
Ooh. Well, so does it go based off who's number 1, number 2, number 3? Like, you get ranked.
So like this. Okay, so the team with the second best record
Gets to pick.
would get to choose one of the 3 wild card teams.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
And then the team with the third best record gets to choose from the 2 remaining teams.
I think that actually sounds like a lot more fun. That puts some
And then
fun back in baseball.
Yeah. And then the 2 teams not selected, the 2 wild card winners not selected, play each other.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
All 3 games are at the team's home ballpark.
Okay. I like that. That sounds like fun. Let's do it. What's the next thing we got? I know the biggest one right now that I know about. Let's take a moment of silence for the difference between the American and the National League, as it's being one of the things expected to happen is a universal DH.
Yep, I have heard that.
Now, I think this is going to be a stickier subject for the players than for the league. The players always wanted this. The problem was that the players were expecting that it would allow for an extra roster spot, but because of the way that they've seen in recent times that players are that extra roster spot doesn't necessarily translate into a veteran getting that position as the DH. You're seeing a lot more other guys getting put into that DH position. That is actually becoming a stickier point, that the players don't want the universal DH is one of the things that I've heard.
And that's valid, because I mean, you're starting to see like the analytical-minded front office people.
Yep.
Seeing that
veteran drop-off.
We don't need to sign the veteran guy that can't play in the field anymore, but can still hold his own as the bat. The Nelson Cruzes and the David Ortizes.
Well, and the bigger thing
those types of position players are starting to become a thing of the past.
You need a guy that. One of the things that they're realizing is that speed is almost as important as your ability to hit the long ball. And so to take that and make it so that you now are dealing with guys that are you're no longer getting those veterans coming in doing that hurts things a lot. So I think that's going to be a sticking point. And in fact, that the players want it to go the opposite direction, if anything. That they'd prefer no DH over a universal DH.
I had not heard that, but I think if given a choice, I don't think it would go. I don't think we're going to see the DH leave.
Yeah.
But I'd like to at least see it stay the same.
I personally,
or at least maybe table it for later.
So, fun fact: the universal DH was proposed by the National League first, and the American League poo-pooed it. They basically voted it down. And that the American, or that then 6 years later, the American League was like, no, we like this concept, we'll adopt it. And the National League never did. So
interesting.
I think we end up with a universal DH. I think that's what's going to end up happening.
Yeah,
I don't
like
it.
See that.
I'm the old man standing on my yard saying, don't mess with my baseball, blah, 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 blah. But that's probably what's going to happen.
And probably to a lesser extent of what they're trying to negotiate, they could a draft lottery.
Yep,
could be coming to the MLB draft, where positions 1 through 3 could be determined by a random lottery.
Yep.
So a team that just narrowly missed the playoffs by maybe 1 or 2 games could have a chance at getting the number 1 pick in the draft, or picks 1 through 3.
Yep.
I don't think the draft is as big of a deal in baseball.
Yeah.
as it is in the NFL and the MLB.
Except we've seen organizational tanking a thing in Major League Baseball for a long time, and that's kind of what this is trying to fight against. So if the draft doesn't work, if the draft is not great, then why does organizational tanking work?
If you have a higher probability of getting multiple picks, of getting a high draft pick, you have a higher chance of getting a good player, but it still comes down to organizational development.
There's some very honest to goodness truth on that. I would say that a reverse lottery is the best. So the way a reverse
So you would say that the
pick
team that just narrowly missed the playoffs
gets the most lottery balls.
Okay.
Because then there is incentive to play your ass off throughout the year. Organizational tanking will hurt you in a situation like that. I vote for reverse lottery.
Okay. It's a fair concept. That's really about the only other thing that came out of it. I mean, the Players Association doesn't like tanking. Because, I mean, they want to see everybody getting a chance to sign the best players and not have teams like Pittsburgh or Baltimore.
Well, they also want their guys to get their money, and if your organization is tanking, that makes you look bad as a player, which means you're not going to get the contract you deserve. So, I get it. Anything else on the MLB side?
Not really. More,
Rich.
I think a lot of. I hope that they keep coming out with content with kind of behind the scenes updates on what's going on. I guess one thing that the players were mocking the lockout a little bit with Twitter. Did you hear about that?
I did, and but that was also based on, from my understanding, the teams also doing some stuff.
Yes, if you go onto the MLB app and look up what players are on the active roster, you have blank silhouettes instead of actual pictures of the players.
Yep.
So a lot of the players have taken to changing their Twitter profile pictures to a silhouette.
Yep.
Since MLB doesn't want to acknowledge their likeness on their properties now.
You know what's not locked out though, Rich?
What?
MLB The Show on Xbox Live, or on Xbox Game Pass. So I still have baseball that I'm playing.
Yeah.
Okay, Rich, do you see what's coming up?
You know what, Mike? Let's give this the Cleveland Guardians treatment and save it for next week.
Okay. We'll skip the other. Do you want to skip the other two things then as well, and just do the weekly thing that we have to talk about?
Well, let's talk about the Iowa and the Big Ten championship a little bit. They kind of maybe got in on the back door.
Yes.
They kind of backed their way into that game with Wisconsin losing to Minnesota.
Yep.
With how well, I didn't watch either game, but with how well Michigan did against finally getting that winning over Ohio State.
Yep.
Will it be a competitive game, or do you think it's going to be a Michigan blowout?
Should it be a competitive game? No. Will it be a competitive game? Yes. I think Michigan should blow them out. I think the hard part is that Iowa is a little underrated. And so because of their underratedness, they'll end up doing better than anybody thought. I don't think they win. But if they win, this will lead right into the other story if I give it. So am I giving it or no? If Michigan loses, it could create a situation very easily that a team that has no coach makes it into the playoffs. Because
who would that be?
Notre Dame.
I don't think that Notre Dame could get into the top 4.
Okay,
they have a coach.
They're 6.
They do have a coach.
They're 6th right now, correct?
Sure.
They're 6. Sorry, let me use my numbers right. Michigan is 4, I believe. Michigan loses, that takes them out of the top 4. Cincinnati loses, that takes them.
Cincinnati won't lose their conference championship game.
Okay. If Alabama wins, Georgia now has 2 losses.
So I think that would put two SEC teams. Let's assume that if Alabama beats Georgia,
yep,
that can easily put Alabama into the top 4. Georgia stays in the top 4.
Yep.
And you have Cincinnati, assuming that they win their game.
Yeah.
That could create a problem of who's going to be the 4th team.
Right.
Because Iowa has the Big Ten championship being what the hell they're in the teens for their rankings now.
Yeah. Michigan doesn't get in. Ohio State, no.
All right. So you have the team at number 5. Michigan's at number 2 right now, actually.
Okay, who's number 5?
So number 5 is Oklahoma State. So could you have a Big 12 champion go in there?
No.
Notre Dame at number 6.
I think Notre Dame gets it before Oklahoma State.
Okay, yeah, because I don't see a Pac-12 champion of Oregon jumping from 10 all the way up to 4. And you got some other SEC teams that are in the top 10 that aren't in the SEC championship game, like Ole Miss. Ole Miss jumping up that far either, and Ohio State wouldn't back into it.
So have I convinced you? Have I convinced you that there is a direct possibility that Notre Dame makes it into the championship?
Yeah. Okay. I'll go with you now. I'm not a college football fan.
Okay. So this is what I'm hoping for. Notre Dame, like if let's say Cincinnati loses, they shouldn't, but let's say they do.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan loses. Oklahoma State loses. All 3 of those lose. How do you not put Notre Dame in there?
In that scenario, no. You have to move Notre Dame into the number 4. Into the top 4.
You have to.
If Michigan wins, it's all.
It doesn't.
If everybody
matter.
in the top 4 wins, I don't think there'll be any changes.
Yeah, I mean they can't because Alabama and
Georgia, I think, are locks either win or lose.
They're locked.
They're probably locked.
Yeah. So it's Michigan loses, Oklahoma State loses, and Cincinnati loses. You have to put Notre Dame in.
Yeah. All right. So probably more on that next week.
Yep. We'll talk about the coaching carousel in there.
Coaching carousel will probably have to wait until next week.
Yep.
And the news in a brief
NASCAR
corner will wait till next week as well.
But first, spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear about The Masked Singer, hang up now. Turn us off. It's going to be, you need to stop. Okay, here we go. Rich, this week, The Masked Singer, we saw the final 2 in Group A compete. We saw the Skunk versus the Bull.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they both had great, both of their performances for both people. All 4 of those performances were amazing.
That probably was one of the best episodes of The Masked Singer.
Yeah.
That I have seen.
Oh yeah.
Neither of those guys deserve to go on. My feelings watching the episode before they gave who was going to have to go home was that, hey, can we just send home the Hart and the Banana Split?
Yeah.
And take these 2 to the finals and let them perform again?
100% agree. So the Skunk went home.
Yeah.
Biggie got to watch his wife from heaven make it to the what should have been the finals of The Masked Singer.
Yeah, I totally agree with either of those performing. I mean, I don't think if the Skunk went to the finals, she was probably going to beat. I think she would easily beat either the Queen of Hearts or the Banana Split.
Totally agree. So it was great. I'm intrigued by what's going to happen next week. And that is conversation for next week. Rich, you know what it's time to do?
Is it time to roll the outro?
It's time to roll the outro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.